All right, I got to ask you about, what is the difference between this offseason compared to last year's offseason?
I feel like coming into this year, we'll have a lot more familiarity with everything going on. Last year, we were coming and learning a new system, new coaches, a lot of new faces. And with no offseason, that was, it kind of put us in a similar situation to other teams in the league where, you didn't really have that offseason to prepare. But now, your second year in the system, things should, the verbiage starts to sound really familiar. The plays obviously look a lot familiar. So you just really start to get focused on the details of the offense, the little things that can really make all the difference come season time.
Yeah, even with that being said, with last year, you guys still made the playoffs. What was the biggest takeaway from you guys getting into the playoffs last year?
I think it showed a lot of resiliency about our groups first, especially like a young team, a lot of unproven guys, but we had a lot of veterans on the team too. Obviously the up and downs we had with, quarterbacks, some went down, some, got replaced. So obviously that was adjustment, but I feel like this year coming up is going to be, a good measuring stick for us to see, can we build on what we did last year? I don't think anybody really came into last year on the outside looking in, seeing us as a playoff team. And, that division was up for grabs pretty much the whole season. And we just want to put ourselves in a situation to be able to compete for it at the end. And I feel like we did that in spite of all the adversity we went through. So, there's no secret that we're obviously a team that's improving. We made a lot of great additions in this offseason, and it's about building on that and trying to be more consistent throughout the year instead of those up and down stretches that we had.
Yeah, you talk about being consistent. Is that what you guys need to do in order to really take that next step and maybe some more consistent quarterback play as well?
I think so, but I think it starts with everybody just focusing on their job. I know the quarterbacks are going to, get right under Coach Turner. Obviously, we got Fitz in the building who brings us that veteran presence and that leadership. So I think that'll definitely help stabilize that position a lot better too. And like you gotta come in. I feel like the games that we were in most of the games last year. It was just one play here or there, that make all the difference in this league. And I feel like if we want to take that next step, we got to not start as slow in some games and then finish strong as well. We would get up and then, the consistency throughout the game wasn't as necessarily to what our standard, what we're trying to build here. So I think it's just minimizing on the negative plays that we had and finishing the game when we're in the lead.
Man, talk about Curtis Samuel and what he brings. I think this kid is highly underrated. I think he's going to take a lot of pressure off you, and he's a guy that you're going to have to definitely deal with down the field.
Yeah, well, I've gotten obviously real familiar with Curtis's game over the years, and he's really developed into a really good receiver in this league. He's so dynamic with what he can do with the ball, and I haven't been around him until OTAs for a few years, just to see the way he's developed his route running tree and how he can run any route from inside and out. I think that helps us versatility-wise in our offense, allows guys to play different spots. I could play the slot. He could play the slot. I could play outside. He could play outside. And, he's going to add a lot of speed and dynamic and playmaking ability to our group. And he can also catch the ball out the backfield and take jet sweeps. I think he's a game breaker, honestly, the way he can cut on a dime, the way he can get those extra yards after catch. That's something that we've been missing in this offense. And I feel like adding that piece, what he brings, his skill set to the table, is really going to help us this year.
In your short time around Ryan Fitzpatrick, what has he shown you? He's a veteran. Everywhere he goes, he wins. People love him. He's exciting.
Right.
What has he shown you?
I think the two things that he's shown me is one, just the communication. I think that's really big with the quarterback and the receiver, especially when you're first learning each other. So I think we've been able to try to take advantage of this OTA time to kind of knock out some of the little things to get on the same page of this offense. So when we come training camp, we're kind of honing in on the little things, and come game time week one, then it's ready for the season. And so I'd say just his communication, his feedback. I remember he's texting me and he's watching clips that I've run from last year, talking about what I see here. If I get this leverage, what am I thinking? Just trying to get on the same page, which really helps him out, but it also helps me out because it gives me a little snapshot of what's going on in his mind. And then he likes to have fun. He comes out here and brings energy to our offense and the guys. And it's like, it always seems like he's been here for longer than he has. And I just think, he's like a chameleon. He just seems to be able to blend in and relate to guys. And, he's smart, so he's seen it all. So I think he has the instant credibility to where guys, want to follow him and want to follow his direction. But it's not like he's coming in like this is his team. He's trying to earn his way and earn the respect of everybody around here too.
Coach Rivera, I have a lot of respect for him. I text him during the year, text him in the offseason. We text back and forth. And I just have a lot of respect for just his toughness, mental toughness. But he also has done a great job of bringing accountability and making sure that guys are held accountable. What has he shown you as a coach? He's a great man.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing you said was that consistency, that one voice. The expectation when you walk in the building every day with Coach Rivera and this coaching staff is to give everything you got. Make sure you know what you're doing on and off the field, handling your business and carrying yourself like a pro. And I feel like his message permeates throughout the team and the coaching staff. So there's no confusion on what the expectation is. There's no confusion on how we're supposed to practice, how we're supposed to take care of ourselves, how we're supposed to prepare. And that clarity, it gives direction, and it sets a standard to where if you're not living up to those expectations, it makes it pretty clear that, you're not necessarily in line with what we're trying to do here. And you'll probably end up having a conversation with them. So I just think that clarity and that consistency in his message is big for, guys at this level, because everybody could play, at a very high level. Otherwise they wouldn't be here. But it's just the little details that Coach Rivera has us focusing on that's going to either make or break our season. And I think that's why we took such a big step from our rookie year when we were here. Then the first year they got here last year, just the way he expects that excellence day in and day out. I think that really helps us. And then just seeing what he went through, obviously, through his battle with cancer, it kind of just put things in perspective, at least for me, because there's so many other things that people are going through that's bigger than football, but at the same time, he never let that hinder what he had to do and his responsibilities as the head coach. He was always in here trying to give us the energy and all that he had, even though he was, battling cancer. So when you have a guy like that, especially your leader, your head coach, who comes with that workman's-like mentality and no excuses, you have no choice but to fall in line. And it makes you want to fight even harder because you got a guy that obviously understands where you're coming from as being a former player, but also the expectations of what it's like to put practices and games together to where you're competing for it all at the end of the season.
You guys are very talented on the offensive side of the ball, but you're trying to win championships and playoff games. We know it comes down to that defense. How good is it to be able to go against that defense and see all them young studs you got up there on that defensive line and in the secondary?
It's fun. It's really fun. Practice is very, very competitive. They're always flying around. They make a pick. They're acting like it's a party out there. But I think it's a great advantage for us as an offense to be able to go against them guys every single day, from the D line to the linebackers to the back end. They're very. First of all, they're talented. Second of all, I think they're really well coached. They're very disciplined, and everything you earn in practice, that it's earned. They're not really giving up any free yards in practice, and I think that's going to help us come to the games when we're seeing other defenses. And I put our defense up there with anybody in the league as far as a team that has the potential to be a very strong, stout defense. And I think we're going to lean on that. I think it's going to really play into our style of offense. And, hopefully they can get some turnovers for us and give us great field position like they did last year. And then we got to help them out, do a better job of helping them out this year when they give us short field and create those turnovers. We got to capitalize.
Who are some of the guys around the league that you compare yourself to? Because as receivers, you're always looking at the stats, the numbers, the catches. Right. But who are those 2 or 3 guys that you say, hey, I'm checking on these guys every single week?
Right. I wouldn't necessarily say I compare myself to anybody. I feel like I do a lot of things pretty well, but I respect a lot of receivers in this league. I'm a fan of football first, so I like to watch other guys. I like to watch Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Mike Thomas when he's healthy, obviously Julio. I watched some Mike Evans too, just, how physical he plays at the line. I know I'm missing some guys, obviously, but
Yep.
I'm just a student of the game. If I got an opponent coming up, that's where there's Darius Slayer, Tre'Davious White, some of these top corners. I like to try to watch these other top receivers and see what those battles are like, because, you're going to probably run a lot of similar routes than they do, even though you may be in a different offense. So I like to kind of see how those guys go against those top talent and kind of see where I measure up. But it's fun being a part of such a young group of receivers, where you feel like, there's tall guys, there's smaller guys, there's shifty guys, there's guys that play in the slide outside. I think, wide receiver position is in good hands in the NFL right now. And, I know we're all jockeying to be in that conversation of the best guy.
What areas, when you look at your game, we always go into the offseason and we say A, B, and C, we need to improve on in our game. What are some of the things that you have to do to prove your game?
I feel like I want to do a better job at the line. Being a fast guy that I am, I don't want to necessarily rush my releases at the line like I kind of have been. I want to be a little bit, kind of dictate a little bit more, not trying to react to what the DB is doing, more so dictate and have him react off me. I feel like I can use that as a strength of my game, with my ability to get off press coverage and get free releases. But at the same time, it has to, DBs are smart, and they'll start recognizing splits, and they'll start recognizing formations. And then you kind of still got to win on a slant against inside leverage man. I mean, that's tough, but you got to learn how to do that. And I feel like that's the biggest thing for me going into this next year, is that consistency, not necessarily having that drop off at the end of the year. I know I was a little banged up, but at the end of the day, if you're going to be the number one receiver for a team, you got to be able to continue to get stronger throughout the end of the season. So I just want to really focus on that as well, and continue to just get better at my contested catches as well. A lot of passes aren't going to be, nobody around you. That's very rare in the NFL. So I want to continue to win those 50-50 balls, because that not only gives, the quarterback confidence, but that gives everybody else confidence. When you see a receiver come out with a 50-50 ball, I feel like that gives you momentum and energy throughout the whole team. And if we could create more of those situations, and myself included, setting that tone, then I feel like we're going to have a really strong year as a wide receiver group.
What are some of your specific goals? Like, are you a guy that comes into the season and says, hey, I want to be an all-pro, I want to be a pro bowler, I want to catch 100 passes? Do you have those type of goals, or do you just say, hey, I'm just going to work, and whatever my team needs me to do, I'm just going to do?
I think it's more so of that. I try not to get too wrapped up in the statistical part of the game. Obviously, we're judged off of our production, so I obviously want to be as productive as possible. But, I don't really come into the season like I need this many catches or this many yards, or this many touchdowns. I just need to be able to do whatever my team calls me to do. Some games it'll be more so in the run game. Some games it'll be where I have to take the load and catch 8 to 10 passes. I mean, I feel like I'm the type of player where I have the versatility to be able to do whatever I'm asked to do. It's just a matter of being consistent week in and week out, and getting stronger as the season progresses. And when they need me most, that's when I come down with those plays. So that's the type of pressure I put on myself. That's the type of expectation I have for myself. So I feel like my teammates feel that, and I'm just continually try to work so I can continue to gain their trust and continue to have that, that relationship with Fitz or whoever the quarterback is, where they could trust that 17 is going to be open.
Yeah, speaking of which, you've, as a receiver, dealing with so many different quarterbacks kind of coming in and out. And the thing I like about you, you never copped an attitude. You never, pouted or anything like that. You just went out and played. How difficult is it as a receiver to have so many different quarterbacks throwing to you? And how big of an adjustment have you had to make because of so many different guys throwing to you?
Yeah, it's challenging. I'm not going to say it's easy, but at the same time, I've learned to not make any excuses, and my job is to produce at the end of the day. And I feel like one of my main jobs playing receiver is to make sure the quarterback is as comfortable as possible. So whatever they need, whether it's the extra reps during practice, after practice, whether we need to have some side conversations, like my job is to make sure that, they could trust me when it comes Sunday, and they have a guy that they could go out there and know he's going to be where he needs to be, where he needs to be there, and going to make the play. And so it's challenging, because a lot of quarterbacks take different drops, their timing, the type of ball they like to throw the way they throw the ball against certain leverage. It's kind of hard without getting those, those practice reps. But I feel like we do a pretty good job, especially last year. We did a good job of trying to get on the same page, whether it was Alex or Taylor or Dwayne or Kyle. I mean, I played with 4 different guys, and they all brought different things to the table. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, the number one thing that couldn't change was I was out there going to be able to make that play when they needed it. Because if your top guys aren't out there making those plays, then that affects everyone. You know what I mean? Especially your quarterback. So I didn't really get into the mindset of just complaining like, dang, it's another guy coming in. It's just like, all right, it's another guy coming in. Let me try to make him look as good as possible, and let's try to get on the same page. So I think, hopefully this year we have, not as many injuries and more consistency there. And I think we will, especially with guys more comfortable with each other coming into this year.
All right, I got to ask you, because I'm just curious, because I respect you as a receiver. Who's the best wide receiver in the NFL, and who's the best cornerback in the National Football League? Everybody's popular. They're going to say Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard, or something like that. But do you have anybody else that you just have a lot of respect for that no one really talks about as a corner or even a wide receiver?
Yeah, I'll go corner first. I like Jair Alexander's game a lot. I don't think he necessarily gets the coverage that he should. I mean, I think he's really savvy the way he plays. He plays really well in zone. He plays well in man. He's super competitive.
Yes.
And I really like his game. I mean, when you got a corner like that who's going to compete, he may give up some, but he's going to come back and probably get you 1 or 2. So, I like to compete against guys like that, and he's one of many, but that's one of the guys off the top of my head where I feel like, he's one of the top guys, but they may not necessarily get that recognition. And on the receiver end, I feel like obviously guys know about, Diggs and Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill. I mean, there's just so many guys. One guy I probably like, I like watching Amari Cooper a lot, honestly. The way he runs his routes is real smooth, especially in short areas. I feel like when he gets that press coverage, he's really good at being able to separate in tight areas and then take those slants for a touchdown. So, especially with him being in division, I get to kind of watch him a lot to go against other corners in our division to see, how they play off him. But another guy I feel like I like a lot is I like Mike Evans' game. People don't really necessarily notice how well he could get behind guys. Like, he could really stretch the field for being as big as he is. And he's strong at the point of catch. So I really respect the way he plays the game. And he's a dude who don't really get a lot of coverage, but he don't really talk a lot either. You know what I mean? Like, some guys cry because they don't really get that recognition or that attention that other guys get, but he just puts his head down and he works. So I respect him for that. And but like I said, I got a lot of respect for a lot of the receivers in this league, and it's cool to be a part of such a fun group of guys trying to take this position to the next level.
Last question. With all these young wide receivers getting drafted, what advice would you give them? Because you're a young man that has a great head on his shoulders. I mean, you've been productive. You never complain. You try to do all the right things. But what advice would you give a lot of these young wide receivers coming into the league?
First of all, I think I'd probably say, first thing when you're coming in, whether you're a first round pick or you're an undrafted guy, come in and know what you're doing. I feel like that shows, one, that you care, and 2, is only going to help you out because, when I came in as a 3rd round guy and kind of expected to play special teams or whatever, I wanted to make sure I may have got 3 or 4 reps of practice, you know what I mean? But I was going to make sure those reps was 100%. I knew what I was doing. I was right where I needed to be, and I was going to make the play. I feel like that goes a long way from just not just your coaches, but it builds your confidence because you're able to learn on the fly and adapt and adjust practice to practice. And I feel like that's the biggest thing like coaches want to see is how you're being able to retain the information and apply it to the field. And it's hard for you to be able to do that if you don't know what you're doing, because you're going to be playing slow. You're going to be kind of confused, and you're not going to be able to necessarily play as fast as you want to. And then second thing I say is just have confidence. It's still football at the end of the day. Obviously, these guys are better than you've seen in college, but at the end of the day, I think it helps that you know what you're doing and having that confidence that you're going to make that play. Because once you make it one time, then you make it again, and then you start building that trust with the quarterback, and then your coach is like, oh shoot, we got to get him the ball. You know what I mean? So it comes to I think it comes down to the accountability and the trust factor that really helps you be able to take that next step as a receiver coming in to where, you're a guy that now on third down, the game's on the line, they're calling your number. I feel like at the end of the day, that as a receiver, that's what you want to be. And that should be your mindset when the game's on the line, they need a big play, they're calling your name. So that starts with knowing what you're doing, and then just the in and out repetition of doing your job, because then you build that trust with everybody around you.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.